Alright, in this video, I'm going to explain how you can change the logo on a receipt printer that's connected to a POS terminal. So you kind of have a couple different options you can do. You can install the TMFLogo utility on each point of sale terminal, or you can install the logo utility on the back office computer and then get the client to hook up each individual printer to the back office one at a time and change the logo. Or you can, like I said, you can install the program directly on each of the terminals and then kind of do the upload right through the POS terminals, which is probably the best route to take if the site already has the hardware and the hardware is already hooked up to the terminals. So then you don't have to get the customers to unhook anything or move anything around. Caveat to this, if you are on version 15.1 of Aloha, you're going to need to make sure you're logged in under the Pineapple Administrator account on the terminal. If you're not logged in under the Pineapple Administrator account, you're not going to be able to install the TMFLogo utility because of the least privileges rights set up in the Windows for version 15.1. So if you are on 15.1, you're going to have to make sure you get logged on to the Pineapple Bytes user. A good way you can do that is when you go to log off the terminal, just hold down the left shift key on your keyboard and then hit the logout button and then keep holding that in, and then it will go to the Windows login screen where you can then select the Pineapple user and load into the Pineapple user account. If you're on a version before 15.1, you don't have to worry about it. You can do this on any of the users because there's no least privileges set up. So what you're going to want to make sure you do is you're going to drop to the desktop first. Make sure you're out of Aloha on the point of sale terminal. If you're not going to be able to communicate to the printer. So you're going to want to make sure you transfer over the two files you're going to need. You're going to need the TMFLogo utility application itself to install it, and you're going to need your finished printer logo bitmap file. I advise doing the positioning of the logo and the testing of the logo to make sure you got the right size and everything correct in-house on a lab system prior to uploading it to the customer site. The reason being is that if you don't have the sizing and stuff correct and you're doing it to the customer site, you may have to do it multiple times and do multiple print tests to get it sized correctly, and you'll have to be asked the customer, how's it look? Okay, let's do it again, because you won't be able to see the actual printout because you're dialed in remotely, obviously. So you're going to want to make sure you do your sizing and everything correct in-house first, and then once you have your completed image, you can upload that to the terminals. So I've already went ahead and I've put the executable on this point of sale terminal. We're doing it on terminal 2. So we'll go to here and we'll go to where that executable is, right here. So we're going to run this just to install it. It's a very small program. If it's already been installed, in this instance, I'll just hit repair. Chances are if you're doing it, it hasn't been installed, so you can just hit next and do the install. If it does pop up and ask you to pick a type of port, like a serial USB, it doesn't matter. You can leave it as defaults. We can change that during the setup. And you can see here I've already copied over my bitmap image that I'm looking to upload to the printers. So I got that here on the terminal as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up this program. So it doesn't actually put it under program files when you install it. You have to browse to it manually. It's under the program files x86, and it's under Epson, TMFLogo, version 260E. We're going to go down to the bottom and you're going to run the TMFLogo application. So we'll just open this up here. Now you're going to notice here you got your different type of ports that you can use here. If you're using USB, you can select USB. If not, you can use COM. In this particular instance, we are using COM because we know that this is hooked up as a serial connection to the terminal. For your device name, I usually just use the IV. You'll notice that the V and the VI models aren't here just because this is an older application, but it will still work. So I usually do the IV. If you're doing a really old printer, you may want to try the T88 III. If the IV doesn't work, but as a standard in this day and age, I usually just use the IV. You're going to want to make sure you have your COM port settings correct for the actual COM port that the printer is hooked up to in this terminal. I know that this printer is hooked up to COM 1. The one thing you're going to have to change is your parity. It defaults to none, but in order to be able to talk to that printer with this logo utility, you need to set this to even. So we're going to set this to even, and then you're going to want to do a COM test. and then you'll see communication definition agree with device that is connected. That's the message you want to see. If you have that message, then you know that you're going to successfully be able to upload the image to that printer. So we'll hit OK. Next, we're going to hit on the bitmap selection tab. We're going to see here in this particular instance, I've already used this app on this terminal, so I already had a logo here. I'm just going to highlight that and remove it because we're going to be doing a new one here. So I'm going to do open file, and I'm going to browse to that actual file that I've uploaded here. So it's going to be the PBBMP that we're going to use, and we're going to hit open. Then we're going to go to our logo upload tab, and then I'm going to hit device. And it's going to say all logo files are written in the NV bit image area image of the device. Continue, yes. So right now it's going to communicate to that printer, and it's going to take this file and it's going to upload it into its flash memory of that printer. So we need to wait until this completes. Takes a minute or two to send the image over to the actual printer. So you can see your upload finished and writing of the bit image completed. Logo becomes available after reset of the device. So typically what's going to happen now is the printer is actually getting that image, and then it's going to automatically restart itself, and then it's going to turn itself back on again. If it's a very old printer, sometimes that doesn't happen automatically, and you may need to get the customer to manually turn the printer power off and then manually turn it back on. But the newer versions, after you send that, the printers will take a second, then you'll see them shut down, and then they'll turn back on automatically, and they'll have the image stored in. So now what we're going to do, once we've had that kind of uploaded there, from the logo printo tab, we could hit print here, and that would send basically a test print to that printer with the actual logo. So you can print that out. Customer can hit the feed button, kind of bring it up a little bit on the printer, and then see if it looks okay. Typically at this point in time, we're already going to know it looks okay because we've already did our positioning and our centering and size and all that stuff on a lab machine. So we actually don't need to do a printer test because we already know it's going to look okay. So now that that's already been up there, we're just going to go ahead and we'll close out of this app now. And then as long as you have the preloaded logo set to 1, which it should already be that, if you're already replacing a logo on an existing printer, the customer would have already had that set up in New Aloha Manager. But that's found under, I'll show you here if we actually log in. It's found under the actual printer maintenance itself. So if you go maintenance, hardware, and printers, and you go to the printer you're working on, you're going to see that it's a TM80 and our preloaded logo is 1. You can't do preloaded logos on U200s. I can only do them on TM-80s and TM-T20s. So if it's a U200 in Aloha, you're not going to be able to do a logo on that one. So you're going to just make sure you want to bypass that. So we got a preloader logo set as 1. So now all we're going to have to do here is we can just either do a file log off or we can restart the terminal. Basically, we just want to get it logged back in and get Aloha started back up on it. So we can just do a sign out in this instance. Then we're going to let Aloha start back up here, let it get back into its software, then just have the customer go in and do a print test on a receipt. I've seen before where the first print that you do during the day, or first print of the day, it may not print the logo the first time, and I've seen where after you do a second print test, it will print it fine on the second print test, and then it will subsequently print fine on the rest of the receipts for the rest of the day. But I have seen for some reason with Aloha, I don't know what it is, that maybe the first time it doesn't print the receipt. It may print like a question mark where the receipt logo normally would be. But if that's the case, just have them do another test print, and it should print out the logo on the second receipt. So that's kind of how you can go about replacing a logo on an existing printer that's already hooked up to a terminal remotely. Yeah, hopefully this helps. Thanks.